That any better? That any better? Alright, so on my end, it sounds like the audio is working again. Let me know if you're not hearing me. I did a refresh on my page, and it looks like it's back online. Let me know if you're having issues. Alright. Well, if we can get our chat to pop back up here, we'll be alright. There we go. Alright, can you hear me, buddy? Sorry if you were typing, I didn't see chat. Alright. I think we should be good. Yay! We are back live with Justin as he complains about 8th edition. Yeah, I'm thinking once this project's done, I get paid, I might pick up some Space Marine stuff. I'm thinking about picking up the new Dreadnought. And if I can find someone who wants to split part of the Guilliman box, I might pick him up. I really want him, but I just can't justify paying $100 for him, you know what I mean? It's a little bit steep for me. Or $90 or whatever his actual price tag is. Try hitting refresh. Awesome. Yeah. I gotta be careful, and that's another thing. I need to get a better camera. This whole live stream thing's just gonna be a work in progress, you know? My setup here is, I got stuff all over the place, so there's cables and all that, so it's not the easiest thing for me to do. But yeah, anyway, think about picking up Guilliman at some point. I mean, the fact that I play Ultramarines and I don't own Guilliman or the Forge World Guilliman yet is sad. Like, that's my main army, and I've never bought them. But to be honest, like, finances have been tight for a while, so I haven't really spent money on the big high-dollar models, you know. I have picked up models here and there, but some of the really big ones I had to take a step back from because couldn't afford them. And the Forge World Guilliman, I've wanted him since he came out. He looks so cool. But it is what it is. Alright. So right here we're just washing your skulls on the Centurions. Celestine was amazing in 7th edition. She was straight up dumb. You are my number 1 client. My number 2 is a guy named Doug, and I have painted quite a bit of Skitarii and Sisters of Battle for him. And I did a Celestine project, well, a Sisters of Battle project with Celestine for him earlier this year. She's a good looking model too. That model is a lot of fun to play. Yeah, I have no idea what her rules are like in this edition. I know in the last one she was really stupid. Do you actually own Celestine? I didn't know if you actually had Sisters of Battle, or I guess she could be used with Imperium. Oh, nice. Oh, gotcha. Yeah, she's a slick model. I wanted to get her too, but again, I needed somebody to split the box because I didn't need Belisarius Cal. I I did want the Demon Hunter chick. All her names, I can't remember her damn name, but it's a really sweet looking model. Since I read the first Ultramarines Omnibus, the first book out of that's called Nightbringer. There's a guy in there named Barrio Arzano, Ario Barzano, excuse me, and he's an Inquisitor. And since then, I really liked the idea. Is it Grey Mane? No, Greyfax. Anyway, I've liked the idea of Inquisitors, and I've really wanted one, or another one, and she looks really good. So if I had somebody who wanted to like dish out money for Belisarius and made it worth my time, I'd split the box in some way, but I don't really need those models. They just look cool. And same thing with Gilliman. I don't need the Grey Knight, but Cypher looks badass. Yeah, I can see her dying easy compared to Celestine. But she looked so cool. It's just a badass looking model. Alright, I gotta set this Centurion aside because I missed one skull on him. Alright, let's start moving these guys to the box because they're washed. I'm really contemplating trying to get my Ultramarines built and considering bugging Austin about tagging along for Adepticon this year. Maybe. I'd really have to get me a list that I think is going to be comfortable and fun to play. And I'd have to get the models painted, because I'm not going to Adepticon with some scrub army. I gotta finish mine up, make it look good, have a badass display board and all that. Like if I'm gonna go and I'm gonna play, if I can't win games, I want to try and win a painting entry or something. You know what I mean? It's Adepticon. So, but we'll see. It depends. I need to get some paints to finish tanks. I've got hang on, I'll show you. I might not be able to show you. I'll have to grab it later. I've got a Cronus tank I'm working on, and it's the standard Predator with the Forge World extra plates on it. And he's leading two other Predators, and they don't have the plates. And it's got Forge World dozer blades on the front. I haven't finished them, but they look badass. But, I just haven't had time to work on them, so I got to figure out what kind of list I'd want to run, and if it's going to be viable and all that jazz, I guess I didn't show you these either. Man, I keep banging this camera. What's going on? Yesterday, this was not a problem. Today, it is. Anyway, this is one of your Tech Marines I've been working on. He's clearly not done either, but I was working on his little tubes. So this guy's little hazard stripes on there and stuff. So, yep. And then the other one. So we got this guy. And we'll do like a little glow effect in the air. Probably try and scorch this barrel. And then finish up his little... He's got some cloth bits in here that aren't done. Paint his skulls. Get the white marks on there for the Mechanicus. Well, if you have me do those Primaris Marines and you remind me, I'll talk to Austin and see how much he'd charge to laser cut a display board for you. I am, obviously working on my own, but there's some things I can't do, and he'll still do them. He'll just, want money for it. So I can talk to him and see what the cost would be, and we can figure that out. Get him looking good. I might be done with the washing of the silver. Have I done it all? One guy left. Yeah, no shit. You should really message him, dude. I've been talking to him about sponsoring my Twitch stream, so we'll see how that goes. What you could really do is get, you could talk to him and tell him, you want a display board, and if you were going to the convention we talked about, he could bring it with him and give it to you on site. If you aren't going to the convention, then, obviously ship it and whatnot. But I definitely think with the amount of armies that you have and the amount of money you've kicked down for armies over the years, at this point, conventions would probably be the way to go. I mean, Adepticon and Nova, man, you've got armies to play, that's for sure, and they're painted, so. And I think Nova's in, Virginia? I think. Adepticon's in Chicago. Yeah, I can see that being an issue. Sorry, talking to Kenny from Next Level Painting. Yeah, dude, 4 hours? That's nothing. I mean, like I said, in a wheelchair, it's going to suck a little bit, but 4 hours? Woo! Woo! That's nothing. That's a drive. You could drive across the border for that one. For me, I'd have to realistically fly. I want to say it's like 13 hours from me or something like that. It might be further than that. I might just be, thinking of somewhere else. Yeah. To be candid here, I think Matt may have toned it down over the years, but he, keep banging the camera again. He rubbed me the wrong way a long time ago in some of his bat reps because he would do the cheesiest crap, and then he would argue the most obscure rules. And I've been a TO for various games since 2005, and so over a decade now. And he would argue for this cheesy bullshit, and then I would be like, no, that's not how I would rule it. And that was back when GW was doing FAQs the first time. And then, lo and behold, 2 months later, GW would put out a FAQ and basically say what he was doing was not what they wanted him to be doing. He was doing it wrong. And I would be like, I told you. So I stopped commenting on videos and stuff. But he would argue the cheesy stuff, and I'm like, nah, man, I wouldn't want to play with you. Dave, on the other hand, they mess up rules all the time, but he's fun to play with, and it doesn't feel like he was trying to cheese you out. It just seems like he wanted to have a good time, So Dave has always been fun to watch, and I would love to play him. They go to Adepticon as well. I would have met him by now if I actually went with Austin over the years, but Austin's met both of them. We've both done stuff for him. I've done projects for Mini War Gaming through my business and Austin's. But I also liked, I think it was Dan, the orc guy. I really liked Dan. I was never a big Cooler fan. Again, he seemed to be a little bit more on the competitive side. So I just didn't enjoy watching him as much. But Dan was fun. And years ago, dude, probably 2011 or so, they had a guy who played Eldar. And he was a small guy. I think they used to make Hobbit jokes about him. But he played Eldar, and he used to always have, pit stains. He wasn't fat, but he'd have, armpit stains and stuff. And they would joke with him when he would roll dice or lift his arms, and it always cracked me up. So he was fun to watch, too. Yeah. Actually, Mini War Gaming is how I got the job with Brush for Hire. So it might have been Joe. It's been so long. That was back when they still had a store. Oh yeah, no, sorry, dude. I can see why you might have thought it got real quiet. It's not frozen. I'm here. This is why I need like a webcam that's aiming at me so you can see when I'm looking down. Because this is a workbench video and not like a tutorial, I get distracted a little bit. Kenny from Next Level Painting, I was talking to him a little bit. He runs a very popular Twitch channel, and I asked him about me maybe being associated with Next Level Painting, or specifically like the Long War Network, with Spiky Bits and what that might entail. And he had responded, and I was, responding back. So anyway, I think I need to switch over to Agrax and start getting. Ooh, no. You do red before we do Agrax, because I need to finish these purity seals. And actually, I'm about out of corn red. That's not good. Alright, let's get some corn red here. Get it on our palettes. Yeah, but I'm definitely enjoying doing this live stream stuff. Last night, I think I peaked at like 18 viewers at one point, which isn't amazing for a big channel, but for me, that's the most viewers I've ever had. I play games, pretty much every night. I just turn on the stream because why not? But yeah, last night it really peaked, and I was like, this is awesome. And the guy who won the painted model is actually from the Netherlands, which is cool. I've not really done too many overseas shipments for projects, so it was pretty cool that somebody won from another country. Now, hopefully the shipping doesn't kill me. That'll be a feat. Let me move I'm gonna slide over there. That might be a little bit better. So I'll hit this cable so much. Okay, any purity seals I'm missing? No. Alright. So now I'm kind of giving these models like a once over, trying to find the red bits that need to be red. So hopefully your buddy's orc will be in tomorrow. That'll be awesome. I can start working on him. Okay, any purity seals? Doesn't look like it. Let's get the front of your plume done. We don't want that messed up. And the painting pooch is freaking out. She's barking at something. I'm looking. I feel like I was missing a sergeant here, but I guess there was only 3. Guess so. These guys with the plumes look really good. Of course, I got a gnat flying around in here, bugging the crap out of me. There we go. Could have swore there was a 4th one. Am I missing them? 2, 3. Yeah, there should be a 4th one. Well, there he is, hiding in the back. I knew there was a 4th one. He's got a purity seal on his leg. Let's get your purity seal red, sir. There we go. Let's get this guy's plume done here. Alright, let's start working on these Centurion purity seals. We got a whole bunch sitting here. Ooh, it's too much. Too much red. I think for the rockets, I might do gray. I don't know. I think red next to purity seals might be too much. Yep. I think we might do gray. Got a little damage control here. Let's get some of that red that touched the black off. There we go. And let's see. Touch up his little skull here. Okay. Put him in a separate spot since he's going to be in the still needs black wash spot. Banging the camera again, getting all excited. Alright, so he does not need red. You, sir, do have some purity seals. You will need the red for them. You are not blessed by the Omnisire for nothing. Take your purity seals into battle. May your armor hold, Marine. I don't know why I like talking Russian, but it's fun. I don't know why. Well, poo-poo Russian, I suppose. Poo-poo Russian. Okay. We got all the purity seals on them. And this guy's got one over here. Let's get you. Stupid bug. Okay, did not have any other ones. Boop, moving on. And this guy missed his hurricane bolters, so I'll have to fix those before he's finished. Sometimes some of the little steps get missed. It happens. Next Centurion. he still needs some black wash because I missed a spot. So we'll put him with the still needs black wash pile. That. Let's get this purity seals down here. In the black wash pile. Alright. Whoop, got a message. Hold on. Okay. Hang on, I'm here, guys. I am sifting through some Marines to find ones with purity seals, so I can start doing the red dots on them. So if you say something, I will see it. But I'm going to be creating a pile of dudes who need the red dab. The dab-a-dab. This guy's going to need some black too. I missed a spot. Never fails, never fails. Something is missed. Yep, and that guy needs a purity seal. Let's go ahead and get that on him real fast. Since I have a little bit of wet Ushabti bone still here. Okay, now he can go into the needs red pile. Let's see here. No purity seals on you, brother. None on you. You appear to need some red and purity seals, so in this spot you go. Alright, I think we got a good enough pile of dudes. Let's go ahead and get to it. Am I missing spots? No. Missed some parchment on this guy too. Tisk tisk, Justin. Good job, sir. And we bled over a little bit, so damage control, damage control. Sit him down for a second. Let's switch over to our not so favorite brush. It's on my laptop. Alright. Actually, let's move these guys away from the water dish. Really not get water splotches on the models. On the models. We don't want that. We don't want that. Cleaning paintbrushes. Okay. Alright, time to sort some more Marines and find some more purity seals. That guy's got some. Okay. Chris, are you still hanging around, buddy? Ooh, I need parchment on some of these. This might be the ones I missed with the parchment. Yep, it is. I'm not sure if I showed you any of the faces. Well, the face I worked on. This was a test one for your HQs, and I did it on the sergeant first, but his beard's not done and no eyes, but there's one of the faces. Hello, I'm a space marine, daddy. But he turned out pretty cool looking. Once I get his beard done, his eyeballs, he'll be looking pretty slick. Thank you. Yeah, it's I'm gonna try and get these done ASAP. It's just a combination of all the little fiddly bits that I gotta do, you know. Like finding all the purity seals and the gold and all that stuff. It's just, you know, all these little things, and then as I think I'm done with one step, I look back and I've missed, you know, something on a model, so I'm trying to chug on through. Boop! Bang, camera again. Just getting some more red here, mix them up. Awesome. Yeah, I've got some other projects right now, so there'll be a little bit of a wait as usual. I've got a Chaos Dwarf Army. Assuming the guy doesn't back out, he's paid. He never sent the models, though. And then I've got a Crimson Fist Army. Actually, one of my previous clients is adding Primaris as well, kind of like you. he got Crimson Fist done, then bought Primaris and wants me to paint them. So same type of thing's going to be happening with him. So a little bit of a wait, but you know me, once I get to it, I'll get to it. I like working on stuff. Where was the purity seal at? I know he had one. I thought he had one. Maybe it was just parchment. Put him in the parchment pile. You have one. And I'm probably going to do green lenses on these guys. I don't want to have too much red and get too much Ronald McDonald going on. So I think we're going to do green lenses on the helmets and the scopes and stuff. Good. Yeah, it's what I did on the Blood Angel last night, and it was a really good contrast for the red. I think it'll be a good contrast on the yellow. I think red on the yellow you just have to do real sparingly, because if you get too much, again, you start looking like Ronald McDonald, and we don't want that. We don't want Ronald McDonald Marines. Looks like we got a couple other viewers in here. If you guys want to ask any questions or whatever, feel free. 2 of you I see quite often. Well, 3, because I know Chris. The 4th one, let's see, what was your name again? The 4th person that was viewing, let's see if you're all still there. Looks like your name was Sleep Monster. I'm not sure if you're a follower. Your name looks familiar. Maybe I've seen you before, maybe not. But if you feel like talking, I'll be here. I like socializing. No real rhyme or reason to the video or the live stream today. I'm just kind of working on a project and hanging out with peeps. Woo, too much came up with that. We don't need that much red for this purity seal. I can be a little sloppy here because the parchment part on this model wasn't done yet, so I have to do it anyway. And I'll show you here in a second. Let me get this little spot done. Oh man, I tell you what, this program, sometimes Elgato does the stupidest stuff. Hold on. I set that thing when I got on, and I made sure it was right. And now my stupid title's not right. Are you kidding me? Really? There. Okay, yeah, I updated it to make sure. I don't know why it's doing that. This stupid thing. I tell you what. As soon as I have the money, this Elgato HD capture is going. It just does not function well with my MacBook. It really doesn't. I hate this stupid thing. Yeah, time travelers. Kanar, the title should be fixed now. Anyway, Chris, on this model, I used one of the. I think the shoulder pad's either from the Vanguard Vet box or Stern Guard box, but it's got that flowing purity seal, so it's like the air's pushing this way, and he's just like, and this one's kind of flowing down, so he's just like dot 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 dot. But I really like that purity seal. Obviously, the parchment's not done, but that one looks cool. Flows under the backpack well. Adds a little character. I'm digging it. Might have to take a break in a little bit. I'm getting a little nibbly. Little nibbly. Okay. Whoops. Hopefully that did not interrupt again. Hit the cable. I did not say in this stream it was the first stream, but this is a combination of yellows. Hang on one second. Let me get this seal done. I think it was 2 or 3 weeks ago I did a live stream, talked about them. And actually, last week I did a stream. It's a little lengthy, about 4.5 hours, so you'd have to do some fast forwarding, but I did a live stream last week on how to paint Crimson Fists. So, or not Crimson Fists. Oh my God, Imperial Fist. They're both successor chapters. Anyway, that'll give you all the stuff you'd need to know to paint Crimson or Imperial Fist. Oh, still doing it. But the colors you're gonna want are, let's see here, Craven from Minotaur, Bile from Minotaur, and Irradiated Yellow. So in that tutorial, basically you start with Craven as your or going over the shadows. Then from your 45 degree, give or take, spray, it's a 50-50 mix of Irradiated to Bile. And then from your extreme highlight from the top, it's just a little bit of Bile hitting the high points. Then we go over this with a mix of Agrax, Earthshade, and Nuln Oil thinned down. 1 to 1, 2 to 1 Agrax, Earthshade to Nuln Oil, and then for that mix, after you've made it, it's 2 to 1 Liquitex matte varnish to the amount of wash you made. So, yeah, this is airbrushed for sure. You can hand paint with those, but they're really, really, really thin paints, so you'd have to paint multiple coats. And then for the edge highlights, I used flat yellow, and I mixed it 1 to 1 with white, and it's a perfect edge highlight. These don't have really edge highlights because these are the grunt infantry, but the HQs will have that color. It's like this guy. He's got these edge highlights down here that are really bright yellow and across the edge of his hands. That's that 1-to-1 flat yellow with white. What kind of airbrush did you pick up? An Iwata Eclipse, or maybe a Badger Patriot 105? Eclipse, yeah, I figured that's the two big ones. Everyone goes with Iwata Eclipse or Patriot 105. I've not had the funds to purchase an Iwata Eclipse. I would like to, mostly not because I necessarily need another brush. I don't think you can ever have too many tools, but I want to try it because I've only ever used Badger, and I'd like to be able to make a better informed opinion. But, oh yeah, dude, whew, that's a good deal. Hell yeah, I might have even jumped on that myself. Might have whipped out the credit card and just slapped down some money. But anyway, it's, I've heard it's a good brush. I've heard basically everywhere I see that when people talk about entry level brushes for painting miniatures, it's always a competition between Iwata Eclipse and the Patriot 105 from Badger. So, what you can do, though, is use the Minotaur paints, though, with the Iwata. So, I mean, they're generally airbrush ready, so you just squirt them into your reservoir and go at it. Also, if you order from, if the coupon's still active, which it was the last time I used it, you can go to Web Airbrushes. You might have to Google it to get the actual link. And you can order paints from them, and you can use the coupon Consortium. I don't know if you're familiar with Wargame Consortium, but they have a deal with them. And you just use the keyword Consortium for your coupon code, and you'll get a 40% off coupon on your order. So you can get a bunch of Badger airbrush paints really, really affordably, and it's a good deal. You can also get your Badger airbrushes there too. Yep. But yeah, not to deter you from today's stream, because I'm kind of just, working, to be honest. If you check out my previous videos or hit me up on YouTube, I've got last week's Tutorial Tuesday, which was Imperial Fists. And like I said, it's lengthy, but you're welcome, buddy. It's lengthy, but you'll be able to fast forward through some of it, because a lot of it's like waiting on paint to dry or me answering questions and whatever. But it'll definitely help you out, and it's one of the new Reaver Marines, so nice. As my channel grows and I get more popular or funds are more readily available and time, I'm going to try and do some polished tutorials like for YouTube. Like I'm going to do live tutorials. I think that's fun. Plus I give away the mini I'm working on right now when I do them. But I'd like to do some tutorials where I film it and then I edit it in my editing software and then upload it to YouTube really polished, So maybe do like a 15 or 20 minute video instead of a 4-hour video, really condense it down. But the biggest issue is right now, my primary source of income is commissions, which is fine. But if I want to do content creation, it takes away from paint time, which, Chris has noticed probably. He's in the chat right now. These are his models, actually, I'm working on. He's probably noticed a little bit of a lag here towards the end of his project, where I wanted to get these out the end of July. He's probably not going to have them until next week. I started trying to do this live stream stuff, and it takes time, and videos will take even more because I'll have to film it, edit it, watch it, make sure everything's right, and long story short, as we can tell, I'm long-winded as it is. Anytime I'm working on video stuff that doesn't directly generate income, I'm not working on commission projects, which means I'm not making money, So I have to pick and choose when I can do stuff like that, and lately the focus has been on commissions, so it's been a while since I tried doing any polished videos because I just don't have the time. And I always post on the Facebook and social media from the perspective of like we. I say we a lot when I refer to my business, but in actuality it is just me. Arm Miniature Painting Services is a sole proprietorship, and it's me that runs it, and I paint. I do anything you see video-wise or graphics-wise. I do all that stuff, with the exception of some things that my web developer helped me with, some templates and stuff, but I do all that, so. Yep, and I paint slow. To be honest with you, like you'll see in that stream, I painted one model, and granted it was a live stream, so there were some delays, and I had to respond to comments and stuff like that. But that was like a 4.5 hour stream last week. This week it was right around a 5-hour stream, I think. Now, if you lower that by like 20% or something, assuming I don't have interruptions, and you're a little bit more efficient when you're doing a batch, but still, 3.5 hours per model, give or take, you're talking about 10 Marines at a higher detail level, like the one in the video, you're talking at taking, 60 hours. Was that? Yeah, hang on, not 60, 40 hours, 45 hours, somewhere in there, at 3.5 a piece, and that's not even assembly, So it's slow, painstakingly slow sometimes for me. And then, when you add in assembly, it gets even longer, because I don't build 10 Space Marines in an hour, it usually takes a couple hours because I clean the mold lines off, and occasionally some things slip through the cracks. I mean, especially when you're doing a big batch, you can miss a mold line here or there, it happens, but generally I clean off all the mold lines, I clean all the pieces, then I put all the stuff together that I'm using, and it takes a while, And then you get people that, they get into commission painting. I'm gonna rant right here. I'm sorry. Apologize, you guys get to hear this. But commission painters are a dime a dozen. I'll be honest with you. It really is. It's a flooded market. And they're, hang on, what you say? Yep. I completely agree. Anyway, like I was saying, the commission painters are a dime a dozen. Everyone's out there. The reason it's a flooded market right now is anybody can just grab a paintbrush and say they're a commission artist. All you have to do is have someone who's going to pay you, and you're technically a professional. Technically. Okay. The issue is every Joe Blow picks up a paintbrush, says they're a commission artist, makes a Facebook page, may or may not have a website. I mean, that's one of my things. If you're, eBay. The eBay models. And I've seen good stuff on eBay, but those are probably people that have had a hard time moving painted stuff anyway. But the first thing I ask people, if they're going to, and they say they're a commission artist, you got a website? No? Well, I do. If you're going to do it right, So you've got a bunch of people that do that, because it's real easy to say it. The second issue that you have is these people that do that, they don't actually pay attention to what this is going to cost to get set up or to actually paint. So if I paint a Space Marine, let's say, I don't know, let's say you commission me to paint this, right? And I got to build it. And I give you a quote, and this isn't the right quote, but let's say you want like super extreme HD quality, which would be really difficult for me to achieve. But let's say you're doing that, and I charge you $500 for this one model. Let's say I do that, That same commission guy I'm talking about, he comes out and he says he'll do that for $50. Or I'm painting Space Marines and I tell you 10 Space Marines is going to take me 40 hours. I charge you for that labor. Someone else comes around and says, I'll paint those Marines for $4 a model. So $40 for 10 Marines, and they'll build them. At that point they're working at pennies on the hour, and they're not even taking into consideration that they have to buy all the paints. So like, this paint right now, Montana, I use it for green glows. That's a $9 bottle of paint for that. $9, I have 3 different fluorescent colors sitting on my desk right now. That's, rounded up, that's $30 worth of paint just right there. They don't think of that. So you've got a handful of people in the commission artist world who are good and worth paying for, and then you have a flooded market of people who don't, or who undercharge themselves. And I used to undercharge too. But because the market is saturated, people seem to think that commissions, because there are more people charging a low amount than are charging a high amount, that the prices should be low. The issue is those people that come in that aren't professional, don't have a website, don't calculate the cost of the materials. They flood the market. The market price, what people think they should pay, is low, and then the turnover rate on those commission artists, air quotes, is really, really high. So, Joe Blow makes his little Facebook page, says he's a commission artist. 6 months later, he realizes he's swamped, he can't keep up, and $4 a model is not enough. And now he can't get through his commissions. So he quits. When he quits, one or two more people take that spot, they make a Facebook page and they do the same thing. Then two more people take it. So the market keeps getting more and more saturated, and these people aren't learning. And that's not me trying to disparage commission artists, because there's some really good ones out there. There really are. And there's some that charge way more than I do. But that's what happens. So I get, quality over quantity. But I get people who email me, and I get this all the time. I had a guy emailed me. He wanted me to paint 10 Space Marines. His budget was $50 for 10 Space Marines, right? That barely covers the assembly. So $50, and on my little commission quote request, it asks if I need to order the models, and he put in, yes, I need to order the models, yes, I need to assemble the models for him, and his budget for the project is $50. I emailed him and I said, dude, you realize the cost of the Space Marines is $40-something just for the Marines, and you want me to buy them, build them, and paint them for $50, and I'm going to make $1 a Marine. Yeah, and that happens all the time. And I'm like, no, dude, no, I can't do that. And that happens. You would not believe how often that happens, that people do that. And then on the other side of it, and you have, like, as a commission artist, you have to learn to find the clients, or the not clients, but the commission requests that are coming from clients that are realistic. They know what they're getting into. They know what to expect. They know there might be some sticker shock when they get a price, but they know it's going to be high. You got to learn how to decipher those, because you get people on, let's say, the left side of that scope that say they want 10 Marines for $50 and you have to buy it. You get those guys. Then you get people on the other end who don't read the fine print. They don't check prices. They don't compare studios. And then they send you a quote, and they're like, hey, I want this Dream Army built. They'll send you a full list. They'll want you to calculate how much it's going to cost to buy it, how much it's going to cost to build it, assemble it, all that, and paint it. And then you give them a quote, and you're like, dude, that's a 5,000-point army or something. Use a $3,000 worth of models, and it's going to cost $10,000 to paint it. And then it's like, you just wasted 2 hours of my time doing this quote, because you know this is a Dream Army. You're never going to buy this. And that happens. It happens all the time. So you have to kind of find the middle ground where the people have a realistic army they want, and they understand what the costs are going to be. Yep. And that's why, like, on my website, I have a price per model, and it's a sliding scale. It's got a minimum and a maximum, air quotes maximum, suggested price. But that's not always the prices. Sometimes it could be lower than what's listed. Sometimes it could be higher, because it depends. Like, if Chris here, Wills McCripple in the chat, and if you're watching this on YouTube, I'm not making fun of him. That's his name. He's got a weird sense of humor. Anyway, if he was like, I want you to paint me some Space Marines, but I want these dudes to be rainbow color, that's not going to be on that scale of, price A to price B and fall in between, because that's a really extreme type of paint job that's going to take more time. So that's a case-by-case basis. But in general, if I'm charging, let's say you're getting a low-end model and you're getting charged $10 a Marine. Let's say that's what's happening, and that's the paint job that you want. When you go to the website and you go, okay, his price per Marine's, $10 to $35 or something like that, and I want 10 Marines painted, then if that price window is 10 to 35, that your quote's going to be roughly estimated 100 to 350. That's your price window. If you go to submit the quote and you aren't comfortable with that window before you even send it, then don't send it. You know what I mean? Yeah, and people are. Yeah, and like I said, that's because there's 1,000,001 commission artists and the market's flooded. Chris here is my #1 client. There are a lot of things in my life that car, for example, my car that's in the driveway, if it wasn't for Chris, I wouldn't have a car right now. Because he's kept me, he's been a big chunk of my business for the last, like, what, 4 years, I think? 4 or 5 years, something like that. Back when I was working for Brush for Hire. And I've done projects that aren't $3,000. See, when Chris does a project, he generally does like a big army, you know, and that's fine. I've done projects. I've done $250 projects. I've done $500 projects. I've done $50 projects. It all just depends. Like, I had a guy, you know, like he wanted some like low end HQ painted, and he was fine with it. And I'm like, all right, cool. You know, this is the price window, and it was like $50, and he paid me, and I'll do the work. But you got to know what quality you're getting, you know. And here's one of the things I do, and I'm sure a lot of commission artists do this. I cut a lot of deals, and not always just like price reductions, but like if you're military, law enforcement, if you're a teacher, firefighter, EMS, if you do a public service job, I give you a discount. That's my way of thanking you, because like Chris was in the Army, I believe, pretty sure it was Army. You know, he got shot at and explosions, and, you know, people tried to kill him while he's fighting for my freedom, you know, and the least I can do is cut him a discount because I didn't have to get shot at, you know what I mean? Same thing with cops, you know, and then firefighters, they run into burning buildings for me. EMS, they'll be there to, you know, give me CPR, and teachers, like, they're underpaid and underappreciated, so, yeah, I'll hook them up, you know? So that's one of the things I do that a lot of artists probably do. But one of the other things that I do is if you're really polite with me and super chill, when it comes to detail work, if I get into a groove, you end up getting more detail on your models sometimes than you paid for, just because I like you and we're real chill. So you might pay for a low detail project. For example, I had a guy locally, I'm not going to say his name, but he hangs out my stream. His budget was $35. He wanted a basic tabletop quality mini. He's a super nice guy. He's a cop, yada yada. And when I gave him the model, I said, "You tell people that's a level 5." And he's like, "Do you want me to pay you for the rest of that work?" I said, "No. You're super chill. You're a really nice guy. You know, here you go. I didn't mind doing the work." So he paid for a low detail model, and I gave him right at max detail. I probably put like 14 or 15 hours in one model. And I'm going to tell you what, that model looked bad ass. But that's what I do, you know. So the more cool and chill you are with me, the more likely you are to get, you know, some kind of freebie or kickback. And that's why I think some of my clients come back, because if I do something they don't like, they just tell me and I fix it, you know. But they know I'm going to try, you know, within my power to try and go above and beyond to make sure they're happy. I don't want to send you some crap. You know, like Chris said, if his budget's $3,000 and he's paying me to do a $3,000 army, which I think usually might include the cost of models, I'm not sure, you know, depending on what he's doing. But if you're going to pay for a $3,000 army, you want to get a $3,000 army. I don't want to send you an army back and you'd be like, "Dude, you spray painted these. What the hell's going on?" You know? So I try and really treat my clients well, and then, you know, hopefully they'll come back and treat me well. That's what I do. Oh, and always, dude, because, like, Den of Imagination has some really good Facebook photos, but I don't want to send you something and then you email me and say, "Justin, what the hell is this? This model looks like crap. I paid you this. Why didn't you do that?" I never want that, you know, because I know, you know, however you get your money, you earned it. It's yours. I wouldn't want you to do that to me, you know. So it's like going to get your car worked on, and then you drive down the road and your wheels fall off because they didn't fix it. No, I paid you to do it. Do it. You know, that's the way I look at it. I do use Reaper paints. I don't actually have some laying here. Hang on one second. Let me finish this purity seal real quick. Beep, 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 beep. Beep, 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 beep. Woo, how quickly I got silent, right? Yeah, so for Reaper, I use a lot of their flesh colors. So, I think that's the only one I got laying here. But yeah, I use Citadel a lot. I use Vallejo a lot. I use Reaper Flesh. I've heard good things about Reaper. I've heard good things about Privative Press. Good things about Vallejo, Citadel. I've got FW inks on my table that I use occasionally. Minotaur paints. And I've got some Scale 75 paints in there for non-metallic stuff, which I have minimal experience with. It takes forever, so I don't do it a lot. And their paints are really good too. I'm not a paint snob, but I have to be picky and choosy with what I buy because, you know, money. So, oh sweet. So I guess you're in Texas then. Yeah, I've heard good stuff about them. I love their flush paints. Yeah, and Chris, I always try and do that. Like, especially with standard Marines. Like, you know, let's be honest. Like, this guy, he's kind of cool. He's kind of cool looking. He's a Marine, but that's a very basic stance. You can only do so much. But then I come in and let's see if I got another cool looking dude. You know, like, this is one of your sergeants. So I mixed and matched bits with the Devastator legs and arms and all that stuff. And, you know, you don't want your sergeants all to look like this. Like, oh, here we go, and all at attention. So I mix and match bits and try and give you cool poses. Or, you know, your little Vanguard dude here. You know, I try and get this thing and then arc the pistol back and turn his torso so he's running forward. You know, I'm always trying to do little things like that because they look cool, you know. The posing's half the fun. If all your Marines are basically standing at attention, who the heck wants that, you know? And I'm pretty sure, I think it was, don't you have Chaos Marines Nurgle? I think you had Nurgle, and if I recall, yeah, so, yeah, you had the Nurgle project years ago. I had never done much with green stuff. Austin helped me learn how to do a little bit of Nurglification, I think, as he called it, on your stuff. And if I recall, you know, your basically your restrictions were this is what I want. I really don't care. Just make it look cool. I think that's probably right around what you said. Yeah, yeah, we did all your shoulders, all your vehicles and stuff. Yep, Papa Nurgle. Oh yeah, dude. Yeah, man. If you're getting you know, $3 or $4 paints for a buck because the label's misprinted or messed up, yeah, if the paint's still good, man, I would take that deal all day long. Yeah, and you know, like for this project, I've offered to do some free minis for you before, and you never took me up on it. So I had this Lysander, and I was like, "Yo, he's doing Imperial Fists. I'm gonna paint this and give it to him for free. You know, whatevs." Um, you know, this is me kind of talking about rewarding my clients. Doug, the guy that I've done Sisters of Battle for, he's added on a few minis before to a project I hadn't quite started, and he's like, "Yo, how much is it gonna cost to add the mini?" And I'm like, "Dude, just pay for the model, like to buy it, and I'll paint it for free. You know, you're adding on one model, no big deal. We're not gonna squabble over the price. You know, just get it to me and let's do this. You know." Yep, yep. On my website, there's some Sisters of Battle he had me paint. He's had me do a bunch. Now, he paid for slightly lower detail, so the models are good, but not amazing. His HQs look good. The models are just decent. The other thing he had going against him is the original Sisters of Battles models, to be honest. They got butter faces, man. They are not very attractive. The new models look great. But some of those old ones he had me do, even if I tried to make them look good, their faces were terrible. Um, so, in regards to being steady, so I get man grips on my models, like really pinch them. When you're doing your detail, like use your pinky and base it on the base or the model. If you're doing like this with nothing to touch, you're eventually going to get shaky. But this is going to give you a point, and you can bear down with your hand and rest on top of your hand. And I mean, you've got all these fingers holding this brush real steady, and you can do whatever you need to do, but that is one of the things I do. Yep, they were old metal ones, yep. And, you know, it did what I could do, but eventually some of them did get chipped after he started using them, because they were old. Now, his new ones he had me do, I did the Sisters of Silence, I did Celestine, I did Greyfax, and I did Belisarius Cal, because he also plays Skitari, or Colt Mechanicus. So I did all those, and I tell you what, dude, Celestine turned out bitchin'. Matter of fact, let me finish this purity seal, and I'll actually get you a link. She is good enough that I would share it, or go out of my way to share it. Set my paintbrush down for a second. Do. 1 second, fellas. I am still here. You just don't see my hands. My beautiful, beautiful hands. You know what? If the sisters aren't on here, really? Could have swore I put those on the website already. Apparently not. Give me 1 second, fellas. On my Facebook page right now, trying to find a link. I could have swore I put those on my website. I'll have to update that later. Here we are. Take it easy, Chris. Thanks for hanging out, buddy. Yeah, apparently, somehow, that slipped through the cracks. I don't know how that did not end up on my portfolio. I'll have to update that later. Spilt my drink all over myself. Give me 1 second. Do you have a do you have an example, like a photo example I could see of what it is that you want to try and do? Yeah, the one thing I would suggest you try that might work is, I believe it's Vallejo. They do a metal medium, I think. You can get it at Hobby Lobby. You might try that. She might be able to mix the metallic medium with the color that she wants to be metallic, and trying the ratios and see if she gets a metallic color that she wants. That might work. Without seeing it, that's the only thing I can think of. But that definitely sounds unique, because that's a question that's not easily answered, which means it's an army that's probably not very common. So it'd probably look good if she can do it. Alright, well, there's a good chance you probably just heard my bathroom escapade. If you did, I apologize. The bathroom's one room away, so had to pee. Yep, agreed. Agreed. So one of the things I'll say, since I'm sitting here, and she's talking about doing a Legion of Everblight, and they're very similar to Tyranids with their aesthetics, pick some of this up. This is silly putty. It's not going to hurt your models. And since she's doing something that's got like scales and like armor stuff, let's see. Awesome. Thank you, Kanar. That is pretty cool to know. Anyway, pick this up at Hobby Lobby, Walmart, or the dollar store if you can find it. You can, if you're Legion of Everblight and Tyranids, you can like paint the base colors of whatever you're doing, and then mask off, and then paint the scales and not worry about it touching. Or if you're using an airbrush, which you have the Eclipse now, you can airbrush right over this and then, mix it back in once you're done with the stuff and save it. Use it multiple times before it starts to get wonky. That'll really help you do some of the detail work, or the base coating rather, on the Legion of Everblight models and get going really quick. In my live stream this week, yesterday, painting the Blood Angel, I actually had the Silly Putty on the shoulder, so people got to see what I did with it on live stream. Sorry. Girlfriend messaged me, so messaging her back. Yeah, it's super good, and like this is one container that I put both tubes. You get 2 eggs. I put both eggs in one container because you don't need to tote around 2 of those. But super good. You can also get, I believe it's called Liquitex liquid masking. You can get that from Hobby Lobby. It's a little expensive, and it's not super easy to use, and it will tear up brushes. So you have to use old crappy brushes to apply it. And it's got good applications, but Silly Putty's a little bit easier to use if you start with that. Yeah, see, I wasn't in love with 6th edition, 7th edition. I'm not in love with 8th edition. Actually, Chris left, but he bought my Tau, so I'm shipping those to him. So the Tau models you saw that are mine, like the Ghost Keel, that was my model. He's getting it from me. He bought my whole army. I had a bunch of bills, and they had to go, unfortunately. I didn't like the Tau playstyle in 6th. They were too much of a gun line. Broadsides got nerfed in 6th and 7th, from where they were with the Strength 10. Then they were Strength 8 AP1, which was useless for killing vehicles, which is what they were for. So everybody spammed the Missile Finger ones, which was good but annoying. Yeah. Anyway, I'll get off my rant on that. In regards to that army, though, paint-wise, with an airbrush, because they have lots of armor plates and stuff, that'll make that paint job pretty speedy. And you'll get to play around with airbrushing and washing, using washes, because washes will help make those armor plates pop. Yeah, I loved mine, but a couple things were an issue. I hardly played them. I didn't like the things they were doing with the additions, to be honest. And then, obviously, finances. That is a big factor. But one of the huge things that tipped me over is I'm really, really picky with who I'll game with, to be honest. As you can tell thus far, I'm pretty opinionated, but I try and take it from an objective view of things. I'm not just like, haha, I don't like you, whatever. Like, if I have an opinion, it's usually based on some experience or something that's happened. Now, with 40k, I play X-Wing, I play 40k, and I play War Machine. 40k, or not 40k, X-Wing and War Machine are relatively balanced. They have a tight rule set, and they stay on top of FAQs and their tournament scene, their organized play. GW is starting to do better with their FAQs, but their game, in my opinion, is still not tight enough to be a good tournament game. So this is where my issue comes in with why I don't play as much as I would like to. you get some super try-hard turds, and they ruin it. And like I said, I play X-Wing and War Machine. The rules are such that you can be more casual and still give the competitive guy a run for his money if you know the rules, because that's the way that game is. In 40K, if you are more casual and you play against someone who's not, you're probably going to get your ass handed to you, because that's the way the rules are. And yeah, and that's my problem. I'm more casual. I'm not stupid. I will try and make good tactical decisions, but I want to build my army and play and have a fluffy game a lot of times. Like I said, I'm not stupid, and I play other competitive games, so there are competitive aspects to what I do. But like 7th edition, I didn't have the drop pod whatever with assault marines behind it stuff, the annihilation crap. I only had the battle company because I was trying to be able to play with people. With Tau, I had a Highlander list where all my big creatures, I only had one of them. I didn't have 3 Ghost Keels. I didn't spam that crap. I didn't run 5 Night Titans. I didn't do any of that stupid stuff. But other people did. So if I rolled up with my casual fun with some powerful elements Tau list against 5 Night Titans, I might as well take my stuff off the table. And then I played with my buddy Doug last edition, the Sisters of Battle guy, and he was running his Skitarii, and he ran this. It's not fun at all. And he ran his Void Shield Generator against my Tau. That game was over on turn 1. It made it to turn 2, and then I called it because for all my reserves, I rolled all 1s and 2s. Not a single one of my reserves came in. And he had blown up almost my whole army, and I had no way to deal with his Void Shield Generator. So his whole Skitarii army basically sat under it and blew me off the table. Or his Sister's Battle army, or whatever the hell it was that was sitting there. Blew me off the table. And I was like, that was fun. And I couldn't deep strike anywhere because he had, it had to have been Sisters. And I might have had some Skitarii elements, because he had, what's his name? The Inquisitor dude. Got a hammer. Whatever. It was an Inquisitor where if you deep strike near him, he gets to Overwatch, basically, or intercept. But he gets to do it every time something lands within 12 inches. And he attached them to a Skitarii unit with grav cannons, or heavy grav cannons. And I ran a deep strike army. So I couldn't land next to him to take out the Void Shield. And I couldn't push forward because all the Sisters are in my face. It was a good list, but it was a tournament list versus my more casual list, and he shit all over me. I was like, you drove almost an hour to come play me, and you won in 20 minutes. Was it worth it? Because you got a round trip. You got a 20-minute game, 20 minutes packing, 20 minutes or unpacking, 20 minutes repacking, and then an hour drive back to win in 20 minutes. Was that worth it? Yeah, and that's what I do too. So that's why I like all-comers list. Or if I'm playing with somebody new or newer, like, if you're playing with me and you're like, hey, Justin, I've been playing a week, I got a starter box, this is what I have, I'm going to try and, take out my stuff that's similar to your starter box and play with you. That way, it's tactics and dice rolls, not just army composition that's going to win, you know what I mean? And try and keep it fun. And the way I've always approached 40K, if I can help it, if I beat you in 40K and I win by 1 or 2 points, that's a good game. It's down to the wire. If I lose in 40K and you beat me by 1 or 2 points, that's a good game. It was down to the wire. If you beat me in 40K and it's a blowout, that's boring as shit. If I beat you in 40K and it's a blowout, it's boring as shit. Why are we playing? What's the point? It's like watching the Super Bowl, and this is my opinion. Everyone's opinion is different. But it's like watching the Patriots go to the Super Bowl and beat some team 50-0. Yeah, your team won, but that's boring as shit. Who wants to watch that? Ratings are going to be low. Ratings are better on MMA fights and sporting events when it's a really, really close game. Nobody wants to go watch an MMA fight where somebody knocks someone out in 10 seconds of the first round and it's scheduled to be, a 5-round fight. No one wants to see that. It's boring. If you're betting money, sure, but it's boring. That's the way I approach 40K. Yep. And in general, I have had more fun interactions with the War Machine crowd than 40K. Now, there are still some tryhards that I've dealt with, but I've dealt with less of them And I think that's because in War Machine, you know, if your caster dies, you lose. So even if you're casual, you know that you can try and win that way. So your opponent can't just mollywop you. You know, they have to still play properly. And then, you know, you can build just about any list and still do well because, with a few exceptions, everything in the game is useful. Every model in War Machine, it has at least one list you can run it in and be good with. Now, some models have more function and more lists they can run with, so you're not as limited. But if you see a model you really like, you can build a list that will be pretty competitive with that model. And that's what's good about War Machine is everything's good the game's good because everything's good, and nobody's OP because everybody's OP. You know, like that's the way they do it, and that's why their old rules. One of the early pages in their rulebook said literally roll like you got a pair, and you know play aggressive, play the game, and that was really cool. And that wasn't like bravado and being bro. It's more like play the game, everything's good, let's do this. Nice. Yeah, so I've got, I have a little bit of Signar. I like them, but I also play Ultramarines in 40k, so the paint scheme's pretty, you know, standard there. I've got Trolls. Actually, I had some Trolls published in, I think it was June. June's no quarter. I haven't taken photos and showed anyone yet, but I actually placed second in one of their painting competitions, and that got published in the magazine. Hang on one second. I'm not sure if you're familiar with No Quarter. But this is the first time anybody, and there's not many people in chat, so you're privy to something that no one else is. Yeah, so... And that was from where I painted for him. And I've got to take photos of the magazine, and I've got photos of the models. They just aren't online yet. I waited to upload them to social media until after I got the results of the contest. I did get a little bit screwed over because, in my opinion, mine was better than first place. That's going to sound really, really biased because, of course, everyone wants to be first. But if you hang around me long enough, you will realize, hopefully, that I'm very secure in my or comfortable with my painting capabilities, and if someone's better than me, I can admit that. I can say that guy's good. I really want to learn what he's doing. You know, I can say that. Just like now, this is a stretch here. It's gonna sound weird, but I hang out with my girlfriend and or fiance. I'm obviously not gay. I have nothing against gays, but we talk about women and men, and I'll be like, that dude on that movie or whatever, I'm like, he's an attractive dude. I'm like, I'm not gay, but I bet he gets a lot of ladies because he's good looking, you know? I'm secure in enough of myself that I can admit things when I still know that they may be taken in a biased manner. So, yeah, it's funny. You know, it's funny. My girlfriend gives me some shit, but it's funny. Like, I know, like, for example, she's not a Bradley Cooper fan, but I think he's a pretty boy. Like, not like he's pretty, but he's an attractive dude. I bet he gets laid. Ryan Reynolds, that's an attractive dude. I bet he gets laid all the time, you know? Yeah, that's just the way it is. You know, Russell Crowe in The Gladiator, the dude looked pretty damn good, you know? And that's not like, oh, I want to play with his cock. You know, it's not like that. It's just, you know, I have a pretty good idea of what I think looks like manly and what a chick would probably like, and, you know, it is what it is. But I approach painting the same way, and I was of the opinion that there was one factor about that guy's model that gave him an edge, but the entry itself was not better, in my opinion. Actually, in my opinion, for what it's worth, they had photos of the runner-ups, and I thought one of the runner-ups was better than first place. I didn't think it was better than mine, but it was better than first place, and had it beat mine, I would have been able to swallow my pride a little bit better, because in my opinion it was better than first place. But it didn't even get a coin because it was an honorable mention, and I'm like, how did that not place? It's good. It was better than third place in my opinion too. But what do you do? Let's see here, somebody's laughing at me. Yeah. Well, my girlfriend, or excuse me, fiance, messes me all the time. You know, like I do live streaming and YouTube and all that stuff, and she'll be like, "I bet there's a bunch of dudes watching you right now. They think you're attractive." And, you know, she messes with me. So then I mess with her, and I'll be like, "Hey, so there's this really hot chick in Twitch right now. You know, she's trying to send me some pictures. What's up?" And then she just glares at me. She'll be like, funny, and I'll be like, well, you know, whatever. You want to see? You know. So, we joke around. I mess with her. It's entertaining. There we go. So back on a painting topic. What kind of paint brushes are you using? Sorry, I'm silent for a second. Texting Kenny from Next Level Painting. Alright, so I'm going to give you a pro tip here, buddy. First of all, go to Hobby Lobby and get you some Masters Series brush soap. Get that. Use a 40% off coupon app. If you've got it, you can also get an app at Michael's. Let me see if I can find the right one to show you here. And go on Amazon and buy one of these. It's going to cost you about $15. This is a Winsor & Newton Series 7 size 0 paintbrush. Don't get one that says short or anything like that. Just a standard one. No fancy, just standard. These are for watercolors or something like that. And you use the Master Series brush soap to clean them between uses. And I clean all my brushes, even my poo-poo brushes, I clean them. One of the things you're going to want to do is make sure the paint does not get into the ferrule here. If it dries in that, it'll tear up your brush. This is a Winsor & Newton Series 7. I think it's a size 0, what used to be. Or, it might be a 00, I'm not sure. Because that's actually a pretty fat 0. Hang on. Yeah, it might be what's left of a 0, or it might be a 00. Hang on, I'm slightly OCD. That looks close. Was that an actual 0 or a 1? Hang on, it says 0. This is 0. Yeah, the other one must be a short. I think this one might be a 00. 1. Yeah, this is probably a 00. Anyway. Get you one of those. I promise you, you will not be upset with that purchase. This says, hang on, now I'm slightly baffled. That feels like that's misprinted. Because this says 0. Yeah, because that one's a little bit fatter. This is a 1. I had a 1 over here, didn't I? 0, 1. Yeah, alright, so this is probably a 0. Yeah, now, another one you can do, this is a Raphael, size 0 as well. It's a little bit bigger than this one. It's probably closer to a size 1. Yeah, so the Raphael size 0 is a little bit closer to a size 1 for Winsor & Newton. This is expensive as shit. I didn't like it as much as my Winsor & Newtons. The key here is you want one that's a Kolinsky Sable brush hairs, which they both are. But you can usually get these on Amazon. I think full retail is like 15. A lot of times they run deals and you can get them for like 10 or 12. But you can't go wrong with quality brushes. Now I've got some Army Painter laying around too. The Army Painter dry brushes. Those are good. I've got GW brushes, but if you're wanting to do good detail work, eyes and things like that, these brushes, they are better. These are quality. This is what the pros use. It's basically anything Kolinsky Sable. Winsor Newton Series 7 is very, very popular, and the Raphael, if you can find it, but it costs more. But that's what I would recommend. And if you're going to make that plunge, again, get that Master Series brush soap. You can get it at Hobby Lobby. You can get it on Amazon as well. I get a little puck of it for like $10 or something. I use a 40% off coupon, and I buy those, and that's what I clean my brushes with. Just like you would clean hair. It's like a conditioner. Clean your brush as best you can, then use that, clean it. Make sure there's no paint dried in it, and then when you clean it, after you're done, you get a little bit of the suds from the Master Series brush soap, and you just form the tip back on your paintbrush. Just like scoop it until it's pointy, and just be real gentle, and then let it dry that way. So it's going to harden on the bristles and hold the tip, which is going to help keep it uniform. And then when you go to use it, you just swish it around some water and get it wet, and rub it on a paper towel gently, and the soap comes off, and you're ready to go. And it is really good. And like I said, I use that on my poop brushes too, to clean them, because my doo-doo brushes, I want to still use them as long as I can before I have to replace them. So yeah. And the Raphael Brush for Hire, Austin, he had a lot better luck with his than I did. Mine pooped out on me. Sorry, I just banged the camera. This is my Raphael. It doesn't have as good of a tip as my Winsor & Newton, and it's just not as good for me. It didn't work out. And that could have been me. I could have just got a bad brush. Might not have been made as well. Bad batch, whatever. I've had better luck with the Winsor & Newton. Now, this one, I have used it so much that the iconography has been wiped off. And also, I'm a paintbrush licker, if you've ever heard of that. So the fair rules, the chrome's off because I lick my paintbrushes. So I clean them, and then I use the corner of my mouth to form a tip. And it's just something I got used to. I saw someone online do it and talk about it, and it seemed gross at first because, ew, paint water, blah, 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 nasty. And then I tried it, and I'm like, well, more often than not, I don't even notice any paint water residue, but the paintbrush is getting a better tip, which is good. No, but she does make fun of me and say that I eat a lot of paint. So then I just make fun of her and talk about dog poop because she works with an animal rescue. So, and then she chuckles. Yep. I'm actually getting ready to tell her that. Yeah, she's part of the local branch of the SPCA. Sorry, I literally just texted her and told her you asked about that. Yeah, and see, that's the thing. Her and her mom foster. They have fostered, I think, 200 dogs, puppies, mostly puppies and some adults, in the last 2 years, like 200 dogs, something like that. I live with my mom right now. We have our relationship's like a long, engagement is what we're going for. Basically, you know, starving artist, blah, blah, blah. We've been together for a while, took the next step, but, you know, still trying to financially get to a point where we can have our own place and whatnot. It seems weird, but it works for us. Anyway, they've done 200 dogs or so in the last 2 years, and they've got 1, 2, 3, 4 dogs, a cat, 2 horses, and a pony. And at one point they had another dog and a cow on top of fostering. So yeah. And they have a hard time letting the fosters go. They really do. Nice, yeah. So we've been dating for almost 3 years, and we've been engaged for a couple of months. Basically, she seemed interested in a long engagement, you know, where we get things set in our life and, you know, get where we want to be, and then take the next step, move in together, do whatever. And I was like, that's fine. I said, I ain't going nowhere. I want to be with you. I don't want any other chicks. So if you're fine with a long engagement and you're fine with what I do for a living, we can take that next step, and I am cool being even more committed. Because I told her, I'm like, we're not engaged, but I'm not leaving. You know, as far as I'm concerned, you know, we're quasi-engaged already because I want to be with you. And then I finally asked her, and she gave me some shit, and then said yeah. So, yep. Well, you can do, I mean, it's tough, but I'm sure you've got an animal rescue or an SPCA organization in your area that would let you foster. And you basically take care of a puppy until it gets old enough to be adopted out, or until it is adopted. The problem is that sometimes they don't get adopted, and then, you know, you still have to take care of them, and some people don't want to do that. So it's sometimes hard to get people to foster, unfortunately. Hang on, I'm looking to see if we've got any other purity seals to do here. Alright, this guy's got some. Yep, and dogs are social creatures, so they like friends. Where I'm at, we've got a dog and 2 cats. Cats have Star Wars names because I named them. So we have Master Windu, who's a fat black cat. And then Mara Jade, who's a really small calico. And those are Star Wars names. Ooh, nice, nice. And then our dog is a German Shepherd, and her name is Bella. Not my choice. My mom named her. I was going to name her. If I could have named her, it would have been Tali, T-A-L-I, from Mass Effect. She would have been Tali Zora. Yep, Mara Jade, Luke's wife. Yep, well, legacy wife. I guess it's not canon anymore, but yeah, Luke's wife. Yep. Not too keen on how they changed the lore, but, I mean, it was really the only real way they were going to be able to advance the story the way they wanted to. It's hard to do more movies and also try and stay in line with the books, so I get it. Yeah, I read the first book of the Thrawn trilogy and then got busy with college and never came back to finish them. But I had a huge appreciation for Grand Admiral Thrawn because he's a badass. And the fact that he's a chiss in the Imperial military or Imperial Navy. And that's, you know, he's not a white dude. Let's be honest here, when it comes to Star Wars with the Imperials, they're basically Nazis. They don't like, if you aren't a white dude, they don't like you that much. And the fact that he became a Grand Admiral and he was a Xenos or an alien, that was huge. And a badass, a tactical genius. Like, Grand Admiral Thrawn is the man, and respectable. Like, he was very different than a lot of the other Imperial officers because he had a very honorable approach to war in some regards, whereas the other guys did not. And I think that's why I gravitated towards him, because he was a bad guy, but he just had a twisted sense of honor and duty towards combat. And, you know, basically if you bested him, you know, it was like a checkmate. You know, oh, you've got this day. I'll let you go for now. You know, you earned it. That type of mentality is very interesting. Sporting. That's a good one. He's sporting. I had a guy, I used to play Star Wars Galaxies way back when, and I had a guy one time. It would be hard for me to pick a favorite Star Wars character, to be honest. But his favorite character was Darth Vader, and I've always been a good guy. Like, everything I do, it's good guy this, good guy that. And the Knights of the Republic, I always played good guys. And his favorite character was Darth Vader, and I used to give him a lot of hell. And then one day, he explained it, and he said that the reason Darth Vader is his favorite character is that he embodies traits that every human can relate to, specifically himself in this case. And he said, ask yourself, if something was endangering your family, what wouldn't you do to save them? And then he said, that's why I like Darth Vader. Even though he's twisted and evil, he did the things he did because he thought it would save his family, and there was nothing that would stop him from trying to save the ones that he cared about. And I was like, fair enough. I can respect that approach to Darth Vader. You didn't like him because he killed everyone. He liked him because he had an unwavering devotion to his family and the people he loved. And I was like, fair enough. That's a good view of it. Retribution is the angry elves, white armor, all that stuff, white and teal, white and green. What's her name? Iris, the mage hunter. I think I got the right army here. Yeah, I didn't even finish my little spill about it. I think I said I played Trolls and Signar. My main army is actually Mercs. They feel kind of shooty and gimmicky with their shields and stuff, and I feel like their gameplay is a little bit more tactical. Like, you gotta plan stuff out and worry about positioning and getting in a good spot and stuff like that. So, gameplay-wise, they're a little bit more finessey than I might like. I mean, I play Mercs, so I pretty much just bash low-quality jacks into you and pray that they do something. But yeah, they have some... I don't care for their jacks, to be honest. They're not my cup of tea for aesthetics. They have some infantry I think look pretty sweet. And then Iris, the mage hunter, is... all versions of her are pretty cool looking. I've got the no quarter out-of-print rare version of Iris 1. It's a very expensive model, but I've got that laying around. Yeah, that would be interesting. I think that would be probably easier to paint than the white, to be honest with you. The white's going to be a challenge. At least I think it will be. You can use an airbrush for it, but even with an airbrush, white is still not the easiest thing to do. These guys are already red. We're going to plop some red on that purity seal anyway, since we're going to rewash it. And try and have a different color on it. It's not going to show up as well. Yeah, with an airbrush, you will not have that problem. Just prime your models white. Woo, woo, woo. Earthquake test again. Sorry about that. Just prime your models white and then airbrush. So You can use Minotaur and use, I think it's Skull White, and then over the top Snow White. And for your shadows, if you were doing white, use, I think it's Rock. Hang on. Yep. For the shadows, just use Rock. So I would prime it white, spray the bottom of the model with the Rock Gray, spray 45 degree-ish with Bone White, and then, or Skull White, excuse me, and then from the top, coming straight down on the model. So like, let's visualize here. If this was a Retribution model, you're going to spray these undersides with the gray rock, then hold it like this and spray down at around 45 and hit it with the Skull White, and then turn it this way and spray from the top with Snow White. So you get a really bright white, off-white, and then a hint of gray on the underside. And then if you really want to, thin down a wash and wash it to get in the recesses and stuff like that. That'll go on really thin and look pretty decent. See if the girlfriend responded. She did not. They're actually picking up puppies today. No problem, man. Yeah, so there's a lot that you'll learn with the airbrush that's really quick. It's just going to take some practice and stuff like that. There's some glow effects you could do really easy, like with Minotaur. If you're going to do any glows, pick up some of this plasma fluid. It's great. It's super easy to do glow effects with that. I've never painted marble. There is a model I want to get. It's Roboute Guilliman from the Ultramarines. I want that model really bad, the Forge World one and the regular one. The Forge World one has him standing on marble. I would like to learn to paint marble. I've never painted marble, so that would be a learning experience. I feel like I would try doing really thin down veins, like dark color veins over the white, and kind of like glaze it over, so that it goes through, or even put them on and then glaze over really thin layers of white over the veins to try and tone them down, but I'm not sure. I feel like it'd be very complicated and take a long time to do. I know there's some tutorials out there, but that's my gut feeling on it. And a lot of things I do with commission painting are things I've never done before until someone comes up and I have to Google and research and figure out if I can do it and then determine what it would cost. Yeah, so marble on a spherical surface like marine armor is probably going to be more complicated than a flat surface like a marble slab. I wouldn't even know where to begin with that, other than just trying to do veins in an off-white color or something. You know, using grays and blacks for the veins. If you're doing it on their actual Marines, I feel like that paint scheme is going to take a while, though. Kind of like Night Lords, if you're having to paint all the lightning on them and stuff. Thousand Sons is one of my favorite Chaos armies, though. I don't play Chaos, but I like their aesthetic. Also listened to an audiobook about them at one point, and I was like, you guys, it was in the Horse Heresy, and I was like, you guys are actually pretty cool, because it was a story about a loyalist Thousand Son being interrogated by a World Eater, which was really interesting, because they thought he, they thought all Thousand Sons were Chaos, or you would think, and he's being interrogated by the Karn, actually, and the Thousand Son, the whole time you're listening to the audiobook, he's throwing all these insults at the interrogator who's torturing him and beating him up, and he's calling him a space wolf and the Emperor's lapdog and this, that, and the other. And then at the end of the audiobook, basically the guy comes around the corner so the Thousand Son can see him, and it's Karn the Betrayer. And Karn says, this whole time you've thought that I was a space wolf that was hunting you because you turned against the Emperor. And he's like, in actuality, I'm hunting you because I know you didn't turn. And then he kills him. And I was like, holy shit, that is a really badass story. It made me really respect some of the traitor legions, because not all of them turned. There were packets of resistance that the Chaos had to kill because they remained loyal to the Imperium, which was very interesting to me. Yeah, that might work. Like I said, I've never done marble, so I immediately thought of grays and blacks, but blue might actually work too. Of course, there's probably different types of marble. There's probably marble with brown veins and brown tints, and marble with blue, and marble with black and gray, so it probably comes down to which colors you actually want to do on your models. But if you're doing a blue type of marble, that makes sense with Thousand Suns. Yeah, see, I'm a loyalist, but I always play good guys and stuff. And if I play bad guys, it's because they have some type of goodness to them. Which is why if I played Chaos, I would want to play like a loyalist group and just use Chaos rules. Yeah, it would take some crazy amount of time for sure. That's one of those, if it was a commission project, I go, I'll give you a quote, but it's going to be absurdly high. Yep. Yeah, agreed. Um, I'm also a big fan of pre him falling fully to Chaos. Luft Huron from the Astral Claws. The army paint scheme is really good looking. It's a slick army. Um, and I just like a little bit about him, mostly the model, I suppose. But I don't care for him after he fell to Chaos. I didn't like the Red Corsairs and whatnot. Eh. Pre-Heresy, one of my favorite legions. I'm an Ultramarines player, but one of my favorite legions. Hang on, what say? Yeah, you could do a test model. And yeah, when that is also a thing that happens to me, I have good intentions and I want to paint all these armies, and then I get models and don't finish models. Anyway, I was saying something. Oh yeah. So pre-Heresy, my favorite legion is Emperor's Children. I think their paint scheme looks really, really slick. The lore behind them having the Aquila on their chest and no one else having it is really interesting to me. But post-Heresy, I absolutely hate Emperor's Children. I hate Slaanesh. I don't like the hedonism. I don't like the boobs and the tentacles and the dicks and all that crap. I don't like any of that. I hate it. But pre-Heresy, I think they look awesome. For Chaos from the actual book, I probably would have to go with Nurgle. I like the Plague Marines. And then if you use a pre-Heresy paint scheme for Khorne, World Eaters look pretty slick too. Angron's a badass. Yeah. I used to have a lot more models laying around than I do. I have thinned it down tremendously. And I don't know if you noticed, over the last few years, GW has toned down the tits and ass Slaanesh stuff too. There's not as many boobies and tentacles and boobies and, well, I said boobies twice, but, you know, there's not as much crazy mutation sexual-wise in their models anymore. And I think they realize that their market has aged, you know, so a lot of the people who've been playing 40K over the years have gotten older. They may have kids, but for them to grow, they're going to have to get new clients and new not painters, but new gamers and new people in the hobby. The idea of Slanesh and the boobs and the tits and the ass doesn't quite do it if you're trying to get, kids into the game. You know what I mean? And I think that, now this is me talking on my ass here, but I think that's probably why they have not done as many tentacles and tits and ass and stuff lately. Yeah, that's true. I've got some models from... I used to have Chapter House stuff laying around, and I've got some stuff from Wargame Exclusive. Wargame Exclusive puts out some really top-notch looking models. They're badass. Their towel stuff's fantastic. Resting Sniper. I'd have to see it. It's been a while. I had their big Shaz guy that's missing the arm. I used him as a was it Dark Strider, Countaz. I used that. I had a couple of the other models as well. I will not show you my girlfriend's response to the paint comment. Oh, yeah, hang on. It's good that you asked. 1 second. Oh, it would help if I could spell. There you go. That should do it. Let's see here. Oh, yeah, okay, I've seen that one. Yeah. I had Big Shaz, or whatever they're calling him now, and I had, well, I still have him, he hasn't been shipped yet. Yeah. I had one of the ones with the samurai things, because those all looked really, really cool. But yeah. Their models look very slick. Their towel ones are really, really good. Some of their Inquisitors, if I recall, looked cool too, but some of them looked a little bit too booberific to me. Too much crazy stuff. Their Celestine Countaz looked really good too. Yep. Let's see. Oh, you were over here and I forgot to do some stuff on you. Yeah, I forgot to do this. And I forgot to do your rope. I don't think I missed anything. Oh, okay, I see it now. That was on your helmet I missed, buddy. This right here. There we go.